Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. This is where accounting professionals just like you come to learn all the most efficient, powerful, abundant ways to grow their firm, sharpen their sales skills, and have consistent, increasing revenue year over year. I cover topics from pricing, sales, networking, objections, ideal clients, some marketing ideas, and really about how to increase your cash flow and profitability and set boundaries so you have the firm that you've always dreamt of. You're no longer giving away your time for free. You're no longer putting yourself on sale, and you are being paid for the value and worth that clients actually appreciate you for. So you'll learn tips and strategies as well as hear personal interviews from successful accounting professionals. This podcast will show you exactly how to create the firm of your dreams and the life full of abundance. Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Our special guest is the CEO of her firm called April 15 Taxes, a cloud-based full-service firm of the future located in San Diego, California, just right where I'm at. She is also a business specialist, cloud guru, and advisor, tax professional to the wild, weird, and wonderful. She specializes in UK-based companies doing business in the US, and she also consults and advises companies cross state and international borders. She is a self-proclaimed tech nerd and AI groupie. She's a content creator, instructor, and author, and she also teaches live events and webinars for tax and accounting professionals of various businesses with practice management. But before we welcome our special guests to the show today, I've been helping a lot of firm owners have more time freedom and more revenue and more money in their bank accounts and always getting paid up front and first, so no more AR. And I know that our system works and that I can help you create the same firm that others have, but it's up to you to take that step. So if you're having a challenge with any of that, head on over to theabundantcall.com to book a call with myself or my team. We'll look at where your firm is at right now and the things that are keeping you stuck. We'll talk about where you want your firm to go and ensure you're paid first, avoiding all the pitfalls along the way, and the exact next steps to double your firm revenue. So once again, head on over to theabundantcall.com. And now let's welcome our very special guest, Susan Tinel, to the show. Welcome, Susan, to the show.
Hi, thank you, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you here on the Abundant Accountant Podcast. And before we start, I'd love it if you could just share with everyone a little bit about you and your background, if you could sum it up in a minute or less.
Sure, I can do that. My name
Awesome.
in a minute or less. My name is Susan Tinel. I'm an enrolled agent, head of a tax firm, full service tax and accounting firm, April 15 Taxes, located in San Diego, California. We specialize in small to mid-sized businesses that are from the UK doing business here in the US, as well as other cross-border individuals and companies, and that also involves states as well. And in addition to running that, I also do stuff like this, the podcast, webinars, all kinds of educational things for us to get together and just do better. So I think that was under a minute.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the things to help everyone do better, and one of the things you've realized in the last 6 to 12 months, is having people and firm owners find their voice and helping them through that process to not only gain respect from clients, but how do they put their self first in the best light possible to have the most rewarding firm they could ever have, and also feel good about having it as well and being treated with respect from their clients. So I'm very excited about our conversation today about finding your voice and how you found your voice and sharing your personal story to inspire others to speak up, stand up, and breaking it down into a few components. So thanks for being here to talk about that today, Susan. So why don't you share with us, how did you find your voice?
Oh, goodness.
What was the first step you took?
I would say it happened one client at a time. The voice got stronger and stronger and stronger. The first one was a client who just said something to me the wrong way and about how I was to be available for him at any time of the day, no matter what.
Mhm.
It was very disrespectful and just hit me the wrong way. And that was the first one, the first strengthening of the voice. And from there,
So
you
from
know,
that experience, what did you implement in your firm to start
oh,
making this shift and change?
right. From there, I started to put up some filters.
Okay.
At first, I just needed filters with my clients.
So what does
And
the
which,
filter look like? So if you were to share with the firm owner listening right now, hey, I think everyone can probably relate that someone spoke to them the wrong way, rubbed them the wrong way, demanded things in a way that just wasn't going to work. So, what are those elements to put in place that you said, okay, here's some filters that I'm going to put into place to not only gain respect from my clients, but to get me on this path of finding my voice?
well, first, I did terminate that client
That's
after
good.
that. That was the first shout out. And then after that, any new client, there was a wish list that they kind of went through with us to see if they worked with the firm, the ideal client.
Mhm.
And most people do pass that. So it got a little bit more specific with time. And that's one filter that you always want to look at and adjust as you go by in time, because things change, people change. With the pandemic, the world changed,
Yes.
people's behaviors, changed as a result. So that filter does always need to be adjusted. A big, huge one that fortunately I put up before that client is having somebody in front of you, somebody to answer the phone, whether it's an imaginary person or a real person answering the phone, even if it's just a phone system that they go to. You cannot always be the one to answer the phone.
Yeah.
That's also
I would
huge.
say never answer the phone. That would just be my personal opinion for anyone who really wants to create significant filters in their firm. And if you can
Yes,
have
I would agree
somebody
with that.
or afford the service, I know one of our sponsors here on the podcast a couple of years ago, Abby Connect, that's a great service that you can use to have someone take that responsibility of being your gatekeeper, per se.
Yes, and the gatekeeper is huge because if you give them that direct access, you open up yourself to so many things. So those are, like, I would say, your initial filters. But after that, the next client comes along and somehow they manage through those filters. What happened? What happened? Well, there, I can tell you, it's usually yourself. That was definitely me. I did not value myself enough. I thought I did, but I valued myself, I believe, through the wrong set of eyes. Like many of us, it's easy, didn't take that long. And we've
Yes.
heard this from different sides of the value pricing argument and all of that. It's not about the time spent, or it's about what went into beyond that to do that thing.
So what had
um
you change? Because I hear that every day from all the clients that I work with and all the tax, accounting, bookkeeping firm owners. It didn't take me that long. I don't want to feel bad. Oh, it just took me 5 minutes, so I can't charge them anymore. I don't want to lose that client. I want to keep them. I don't want them to turn the other way and go somewhere else. I really need this business. I have bills to pay. How did you find your voice and start speaking up about that you do value yourself from this different point of view?
well, for one, I stopped looking at myself as their receptionist.
Mm,
They want a copy of their tax return. They want a copy of their W-2, or they want you to print out a special copy of their tax return for their broker, or they want that letter for the broker, and they just eke and eke and eke and eke. Yeah, what changed for me is, wow. So what I'm taking off this person is not that 5 minutes. What I'm taking off of that person is probably up to 2 weeks in some cases, if they had to do it themselves. So, like in the case of
yeah.
downloading the W-2, they forgot their password, so they're gonna have to reset their password, or maybe Google to find the site, or whatever it may be. It'll take them 15 minutes to find the place to log in and get logged in, and then another 10 minutes, or maybe going, however, to get their W-2, when yeah, we can just go boom, boom. I just relieve that person of that stressful moment because that is stressful for them, plus that time it took them.
Right. And all in all, sometimes it's up to 2 weeks that you're saving somebody, even though you can get the work done in 5 minutes to 45 minutes per se.
Because they're
How do you,
procrastinating and
yeah,
all of that. So that why would I take that stress for them without some recompense? That's
yeah.
pretty much what it came down to.
What was the tipping point for you? Because how long have you had your firm?
I started my firm, I would say about 2012, 2013.
Okay.
And the
So,
tipping
yeah.
point was all those darned comfort letters. Those are the worst. The comfort letters are just out of this realm of stress for both parties, for everybody.
Mhm.
But yes, those were really the tipping point because they assumed that I would do that because I do their tax return, and they didn't understand why I would charge them for that just to help them out. But why would I help them out? I didn't tell them to go buy a house or refinance their house. What am I getting out of this? And why
And
would I
how,
take all that stress from the mortgage broker who's getting the commission off of all this, but I'm getting nothing?
and how many years did it take you to make this shift and to see these changes and start earning
Mm,
and gaining respect from clients and finding your voice and speaking up instead of just doing it like you had done for so many years?
it's an ongoing process still. I said the voice just gets louder and louder. I started this, I would say, about 4 years in. So about 17 was when
Wow.
I started my first shift. And then, the next, and this is one big, huge advice. Don't try to tackle everything at the same time. You cannot. You're a person for many things, but not for that.
Yeah.
It's just gonna just take you down. So you do that first fight and then out or battle,
Mhm.
and then you take the next battle, and then you take the next one, and pretty soon you will have won the war, and you can draw that final line and say, "That's it. This is
Right.
where it has to be."
And how
But
did this take effect on your revenue season of your firm? You started in 2012. We're now in 2013. So it's been about 10 years. When you found your voice and you started to gain respect from your clients and, drawing that line in the sand and having your voice keep getting louder and louder, and it's still a work in progress, how has it made a shift in your revenue, if you can share with us?
the revenue, and you hear this from others, and it does not go down. What goes
What
up?
what percent of increase have you seen from a revenue? And also what percent of time have you received back?
Oh gosh, this is going to sound awful. I did a major weed. I fired like a lot of clients,
Okay.
like almost half. And my income did not go down at all, and it went up, I think, about 10%.
So your revenue went up 10%. You
Mm-hmm.
fired half your client base, so the volume decreased.
Yes.
And how much, on a weekly basis were you working before? And then how much are you working now? So how much time did you also gain? Even seeing a
Oh,
revenue increase and decreasing the client load by half by speaking up and gaining that respect from clients and finding your voice and, putting your foot down.
the time, it's I can't even try. It's infinite, infinite in a way, because you have time now to absorb everything. You have time to watch things in motion. You have time to lock up and go home. I do lock up and go home. I see, my husband at nights. I see him on the weekends in the morning. So I have a normal working day. Um, Overall, most through tax season. Couple weeks before, I might pull 1 or 2 weekend days, depending on if it. Last year got a little hairy, but this year I don't see that being this hairy. I see it being actually a lot smoother so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I say infinite because all those little nitpickers that are there at your firm for that moment in time for tax season, or if they're that year round that got that great deal, they're the ones that are taking all the time away from everybody else.
Yeah,
And
so
it's not
true.
you, it's your team as well.
Yeah.
Um, and it's, or your other hat, if you're wearing your worker hat or your firm owner hat, it's time away from that other hat. And I've only seen it grow. I've never seen it shrink.
So
Each
true.
client that I let go, the time grew. I let go, and I would intake new good clients, but the time still grew.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, that's great that you have more free time now to enjoy in beautiful San Diego. So, with
Yes, I go
finding
to the
your
golf course.
voice and implementing your filters and having someone get in front of you, like you shared earlier, so be it someone answering your phones, getting a gatekeeper, hiring someone to help you. What was the third thing that you really implemented in finding your voice that someone listening today could make this implementation now and start seeing some of the changes that you've been able to experience over the last 10 years?
The third thing is you really coming down. I know I said it a little bit before in the, but you, that confidence in yourself, and also yourself within our community. All of us, we are experiencing the same thing in different forms, or have been through it, or are going through it. And there's some times when I felt so very alone,
Mhm.
um, just because of the situation and or what was going on. I had another client later that cornered me in my office and yelled at me, and I had to walk him out and lock him out, and he almost went to a police incident. um,
Wow.
Another comfort letter. He was the last line, we'll say. Um, and he also got his termination letter like that in very soon after. So yeah, it's you had you had to be sure and know that you are good enough. You are good enough. You've been doing this long. They're coming to you. Yeah, the ones that are going to go away, they're going to be the ones that you do want to go away, because they're not respecting you in one fashion or another. If they're not willing to come to us and pay for services, there is no respect. Those people, let them go bounce around and ask their buddies or TikTok. But yeah, it's you, and know that your community is with you. We're experiencing the same thing, and stay in contact, reach out to others, talk to others. We always want to have little client fests and just get it out, find a couple local folks and network with them, and you can bounce ideas off of each other. I got some great ideas from a local EA that I I have a little happy hour with regularly.
Oh, that's
She has ways
wonderful.
of phrasing things that I'm like, oh wow, that's perfect. Can I use that? Because that's not something I normally would say, but the way she says it's just right to hit the moment, to
Mhm.
get that point across to the client or what it may be.
Well, and I think it's really beautiful, Susan, kind of how you summed it up because it is a community and every single person here is going through the same thing one way or another. It might be
Yes.
more harsh, it might be from a different point of view, it might be something in our personal life, it might be a health challenge, but the community together is with you and know that you're not alone and what you're going through every single one of us is going through. But together as a community, we can also change. And I think the most important takeaway from today's conversation and what I'm hearing from you, Susan, and from every client I've ever worked with and firm owner is that when we find our voice and we stick up for ourselves and we show respect, and every small step, like you said, it's an ongoing process. Every small step is that little ounce of confidence, and every time we get a little bit more confidence, a little bit more confidence, that's really where I think the magic can happen. And I think as a community of firm owners, you can change the way clients treat us and deal with us and putting our foot down and finding your voice and speaking up and making sure you keep the respect in line and have those filters in place is the number one thing to make this change. So
Exactly.
thank
Yes.
you, Susan, so much for being here with us today on the Abundant Accountant podcast and sharing your story and wisdom and knowing that you can make this change and that it is possible. And, I think the biggest question I hear from firm owners is, oh, well, that's great. It worked for Susan, but will it work for me? And the answer is yes. It's, are you committed to making a change? And are you sick and tired of the way it's been going? Are you sick and tired of the way you've been treated by clients? Are you sick and tired of having, like, you had double the amount of clients with the same amount of revenue, where you made a change and you fired half the clients and increased your revenue by 10% and gained your time back and could spend more time, at the parks and the beach and with your husband, etc. So I think that's the big takeaway. So thank you, Susan, for sharing. Is there
Oh, you're
anything else,
welcome.
any last words of wisdom or anything that we didn't talk about that is on the tip of your tongue that you want to share or leave the listeners with today?
Yeah, I think 2023 is our year. So many more of us are out there finding our voice. And the more of us that are out there, the stronger our voices are together. And
Yes.
that big fear about, oh, the client's going to go away. Do you know how many people are looking for tax folks and accountants, and no one's taking new clients?
There's a
This is
lot.
awesome. This
Yeah.
is our year. Let's band together and keep this fence up.
Awesome. Well, thank you,
That's what I would
Susan,
love.
so much for being here. It was an honor to have you,
Oh,
and
thank you.
appreciate you very much. Thank you.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for joining Susan and I in a lovely episode and discussion about finding your voice and implementing filters and gatekeepers, and really just putting in the effort to have little ounces of confidence in yourself to understand how to value yourself. I think value and worth really stems from having little ounces and little steps of confidence and seeing, oh, that worked. But I think, like Susan said, you're not alone in what you're going through. There's plenty of firm owners who I talk to on a weekly basis that, like she said, you have the fear of losing your clients. You don't really know how to price. In the future, you want to sell your firm. You want to have a profitable firm. You want to be able to retire, but yet you don't have any money set away from retirement because you're tired, overwhelmed, burnt out, and exhausted. And basically, the clients are running your firm. So if you want to put an end to all that and get paid up front and definitely charge the fees you deserve, I know that I have a system that will work for you. And I can help you create the firm you've always wanted, but it's up to you to take the next step. So head on over to theabundantcall.com and you can book your free session with myself and my team. And we're going to cover 3 things on our call. Number 1, where you're at in your firm right now and the things that are keeping you stuck. Number 2, where you want your firm to be to ensure that you're always paid up front, avoiding all the pitfalls along the way, saving you a ton of money in the process, and the exact next steps you can take to double your firm revenue. Every one of our success stories has started with this call. It's turned into more confidence, charging premium fees, doubling top line revenue, eliminating burnout, and also feeling excited about the work and being in control of your future firm. So head on over to theabundantcall.com. It was lovely to be here with you today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.